Ciao, ciao, buonasera, namaste ragazzi. Welcome to the preview of huge night in the Europa League between Tottenham Hotspur and AS Roma. And joining me today in this special episode are Aishwarya and Pranay from Spurs India, and of course Sid from AS Roma India. So we're going to be previewing this big European game, and I would just want to welcome all of you onto the stream. How's it going, Aishwarya, Pranay? Happy with Spurs' current form?
I was buzzing after the City game, but unfortunately, in true Spurs fashion, we lost our goalkeeper in that game. So,
Ah, yes,
unfortunately,
yes, yes,
some good
yes.
with the bad.
True, true. What about you, Pranay?
Yes, and the backup goalkeeper can't move. Like by the time he reaches for the ball, it's already in. So we're really in for something here.
यार मैंने फ्रेजो फॉस्टर का I saw his highlights versus Barcelona, and said को तो भाई obviously we don't wish injury on any player, but Vicario against Roma versus Empoli, so याद है Sid, he had channeled his prime Manuel Neuer, Gigi Buffon. Probably that's the game
Oliver
that
Kahn.
earned his move. Yeah, that's the game that earned his move to Spurs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was called the wall. Okay,
Yeah.
like it's ridiculous how the wall has crumbled.
No, of course, he's a very good shot stopper. And Siddharth and I, we still have PTSD about that Empoli Roma game, man. I mean, somehow Tammy Abraham, kind of fluffing those chances, and Vicario pulling out some fab saves, and that was quite evident against the City side, which are currently struggling, but taking no credit away from Spurs, man. What a win, 4-0. And obviously, you guys are looking forward to a big clash in Europe versus Roma. But before we get to that, Aishwarya and Pranay, I just want both of you to share about how you all became a Spurs fan, and what's been your story so far.
So I've been a Spurs fan for the last 20 years. So I started in like I don't know, like 2001 or more than I don't know. It's been a while. I mean, Teddy Sheringham was our captain, and we had Puyo and Darren Anderton. I was mentioning to you
Yeah,
before we went live. It was just an amazing team. It was really exciting, and obviously part of it was also rebellion because my father was a Chelsea fan. And so, but to be fair, it turned out all right.
what about you, Pranay?
So for me, it was the beginning of the Redknapp era. I just liked the way we played the football. I never saw us, losing 1-0 or, winning 1-0. It was always that we always went for it. We gave it a go. And sometimes we lost, but then there were times, where we battered teams. And that was the time when I was just watching football. So I really liked that. And that is how I became a Spurs fan. And then, yes, the
Interesting.
Poch era was great.
Of course, of
And then
course.
we can talk about the Mourinho and Conte era.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a bit. What is the presence? Because I know the Premier League has got, obviously it's got the maximum coverage and following here in India, but as Spurs India, where all do you have fans? In which all cities?
So,
I think we
sorry,
have,
continue.
yes. I think we have official supporters group in most cities. In Mumbai
Okay.
itself, we have around 400 to 500 members in the WhatsApp
Wow.
group of ours. Yes, and then we also have regular screenings. The turnout on the screening is around 40 to 50 people per screening, so it's good numbers.
Wow, amazing. And what about the other cities, Aishwarya? If you can just give an insight.
So the thing is, I am actually part of two city clubs, Mumbai Spurs and Delhi Spurs, because I move between the two cities. And both screenings will have like 40, 50 people. And sometimes more at the Mumbai Spurs
Hmm.
screenings. And Bangalore Spurs is also really, really active. There's a Kerala Spurs. They're really good at memes. So if you follow them on Instagram, you get a lot of fun things. Um, so it's steadily growing also because people want to support good football, and I think that's what Spurs play. So I think that's exciting.
Fair, fair. Before I get you, Sid, I'll just take a few comments, and of course, whoever is watching, please leave your comments. We'll take them all. जो भी सवाल है लिख दो, सारे सवालों का जवाब मिल जाएगा. Wikes is in the house. He's calling you Wolverine Sid. Abhishek, hello. Madhurista, Rohit, hello. Yogesh, what's up? Param is here. And of course, this is a very this is a banter between us Italian football fans, right? So Param, we run Calcio Churcha, which is a Italian football podcast. So top of the table is something which Yogesh, the Napoli fan, keeps on kind of pointing that towards us. So this is just reverse Uno basically. But yeah, Sid, जब मैं सुना कि इनका 400 मेंबर है व्हाट्सएप में, आई वाज स्टन्ड बाय नंबर बिकॉज़ ऑब्वियसली रोमा फैंस आर फार एंड फ्यू इन बिटवीन. अपने कितने हार्डली 30 जन हैं जो एक्टिव है, राइट?
Right, man. It's intimidating in terms of the fan support that we have here.
Yeah, it's quite intimidating. And Serie A fans भी इतने नहीं है इंडिया में, 300 400 के जो भी है, we are trying to collate them. But Sid, if you can just tell Aishwarya and Pranay and the rest of the viewers about your story.
Yeah, so my story is linked with one player, that's Totti. So I started watching his videos on YouTube. There was not that much of a broadcast as such for Serie A. So you started getting to more closer to the World Cup, and you get to the background story of him playing with the metal plates and everything. So that intrigued me with him as a player, and that's when I started following Roma. And then the whole story, like it just set like the underdog attitude, the never say die spirit, and always coming back in the games even when you're trailing, and then coming back to score and win. So that is something that has always stood as a Roma fan.
Look, we could use some of that magic right now in this current season. But Aishwarya and Pranay, the question goes out to both of you. As Spurs fans, what has been your dream moment, especially in European competition? Of course, you saw the Harry Redknapp era, you had Pochettino's era as well. So, which is that moment that stands out for both of you?
I mean, obviously, it has to be the game against Ajax. Nobody like expected us to reach the final, and it was not just the fact that we reached the final. It was and how like it was one of the best comebacks I think in European football because it did not look like we were going to win that game. And we scored in the last second. Lucas Moura scored, so for me, like that will always be the most memorable moment for me in Europe, at least as a Spurs fan. Unfortunately, I wasn't a fan when we won the Europa League, which it was called something else then, but the Europa League.
The UEFA Cup. When was
European
that?
Cup.
So that was in '84. I wasn't alive, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. What about you, Pranay? What's been your
Yes,
moment in Europe?
even for me, it would be the same, but I would just pick a different answer. It's the game before that, the Man City game.
Hmm.
Even then, back then, no one gave us a chance against City. That was a time when Pep called us the Harry Kane team, and ever since that, we have just got it against Pep. Like we have, even when we had Nuno Espirito as a manager, even back then we beat him. So it's just the whole Harry Kane team, and then losing out on Harry Kane, he got injured that day, and it was all the Son show. So that is something that I really remember.
Fair. Siddharth, before the next question, I'm going to put it to you, but I'm just going to give a small geography lesson to one of our subscribers called Ravi. The blue part of Rome is just fantastic, but इसको लगता है ये शायद कभी रोम गया नहीं है because there is no blue part in the city. You have to go to the
Right.
outside of Rome. So if you live in Mumbai, it's basically like Vasai Virar. That is basically the Lazio area. So it's good to see these provincial teams doing very well in Europe. Small clubs doing well is like a
Great teams.
fairy tale. You know. But anyways, let's get to the point. Uh, you know, let's speak about Spurs' current form, Aishwarya and Pranay. Um, of course, this is the second year that Ange Postecoglou has taken over, and we as neutrals, obviously we watch the Premier League, and we see a Brighton game, and then we
Yeah.
see the City game, What do you make of the current Spurs form and coming into this game? After this fantastic drubbing against City, what do you make of it?
So, it's a very confusing team, Spurs, and it always has been, but it is more so under Ange because we are the top scorers in the Premier League currently. But unfortunately, we sit sixth despite having a high goal difference, which means that we haven't actually conceded a lot of goals. It's just that, like we have moments in the game where we'll switch off or we'll be unable to score against a low block, which I'm assuming Roma will be, or a mid block.
Mm.
And, that's just been our kryptonite. So unfortunately, that consistency is missing. But we've beaten City, we've beaten Aston Villa, we've beaten some really like big teams. So if you come out to play football against us, I would back Spurs any day of the week. But if you're sticking 10 men behind the ball, it becomes much harder for us. And I think that's a problem we have to solve.
So before I get to you, Pranay, Siddharth, if you can just give a quick summary of what Roma season has been up until now to Pranay, Aishwarya, and everyone watching. If you can sum it up.
It's been a disaster in one word. Like the idea of De Rossi getting sacked and then Ivan Juric coming in and he not lasting for more than a month, I guess. Like few matches and then it was just elongating a very terrible session and then just collapsing after a 3-2 defeat again, where El Sharawi somehow managed 2 goals, brilliant goals. And then again now with Ranieri, who had a tough start at life against Napoli, which was not short of any controversy, with Lukaku scoring the winning goal, who should have been sent off in the first half
Yeah.
itself. So it's been like out of the 13 games that we've had like 6 game-changing decisions gone against us. So
Yeah.
you can't say the team is bad or the gameplay is bad. Like the gameplay is bad compared to what we are used to seeing, but the referees never helped Roma, and that trend continues.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to what Sid said, it started with so much of promise. I was talking to Aishwarya just offline that it started with so much of promise this season where De Rossi was given a 3-year contract. Of course, De Rossi is a club legend, and in the summer, we brought in players like Dobbik, we got in Mati Sule, paying a lot of money to Juve. Of course, buying Manu Kone as well, who probably has been our best player, and would probably move to a big club in the Premier League in the future. So there was a lot of hope, a lot of expectation, and 4 games, everything just went full. We just imploded, and it's been unraveling ever since because the CEO who was probably behind De Rossi's departure, she also resigned. The owners were busy with other things like the takeover of Everton. The fans started protesting. Ivan Juric was brought in as the scapegoat, and the results still weren't coming in. The players stopped playing for Juric, and as Sid said, he didn't last a month. So Ranieri has been brought in with the sense of bringing back some stability to the ship, bringing back some discipline into the players. And you had mentioned the low block. That's exactly how Roma lined up against Napoli, since it was an away game. So he put like 10 men behind the ball and successfully kind of applied the tactic for about 50 odd minutes before Lukaku scored. But before we get to the eventually get to the game, I just want to talk about one figure, and obviously you guys can start, Aishwarya and Pranay, and that person needs no introduction. That's the one and only, the special one, Mr. Jose Mourinho. How do you rate him and his time at your club?
Pranay, do you want to go first?
Sure, why not? I think by the time we got Mourinho, he was sort of finished. I don't mean in a very disrespectful way, but like the you could sense it that the frustrations that he had at the club, during his time, you could sense that that no other top good club would tolerate that. And even back then we were at this position where we were deciding if we were that top club or we are just about there, amongst the big boys. So that move was a statement for us that we are one of the big boys. We are the ones who are going to challenge. So we saw it as that move, but then again, it didn't pan out the way we hoped it would. And even the sacking was very baffling for me. Um, 1 week before a cup final against Pep, whose Mourinho has been successful against, it doesn't make sense. But then again, there was a clause in his contract that said that if he wins something, then you have to pay an extra amount. And it was decided that they're going to sack him. So any which ways, sack him before he wins anything. But it's very baffling to, and all this is just hearsay. We don't really know what actually happened. But then
Yeah,
again, we judge our opinion, we form our opinions based on the information that we get.
yeah,
So yeah, weird. And Mourinho as a manager, very good. I really liked his time at Madrid. He was really good back then. But I think the time he joined Manchester United, he struggled. Then again he fell out with big players like Pogba and all. And then ever since it been a slope downwards. So yeah.
I
how about you,
actually
Aishwarya?
disagree somewhat. I disagree somewhat. I don't think Mourinho was finished because he went to another story club, which is Roma, after us, and he won a conference league, and then he took you to the final. So I
Yeah,
think he was a cup manager in that sense because he just wanted to win trophies. And the truth is, he did that with us as well. He did take us to a cup final. Unfortunately, our league form suffered because we never have the squad depth to do two things at once, unfortunately. And it was a mixed bag, definitely. But I think that's because, a manager and a club ethos have to be aligned. The way Mourinho played, the way Mourinho set up is very different from the ethos of the Teddy Sheringham team or the Bale team or the Hurricane team. Like in terms of just attacking football. That has always been the way we played. In fact, in the 80s, we had something called Samba style where we would play six forwards.
right.
So that's the sort of ethos we've had as a club. So Mourinho and Conte, they don't fit that ethos. And I think that was the problem. I think in that sense, Roma, I think, was a better fit for Mourinho.
Sid, this sounds very familiar, no? That cup run and the league form suffering and eventually, finishing like not finishing in the Champions League places. What just quickly, man. I mean, if you can summarize your thoughts about Mourinho and the time he spent with
Yeah,
us.
to be honest, we were never in the Mourinho years. I don't think we had the depth to ever compete for the top four finish. Like we were in the Europa League spots, but then the midweek games always have a big effect on how you approach the league, right? And to Mourinho's plus points, like how he channeled the fans' enthusiasm, the emotion, and even after the matches where he came out, where he took the refereeing decisions on himself. Like he would yell at the referees, he would go on press conferences, and he would call out the mistakes that the referees did. He would ask the Italian Refereeing Federation, the FIGC, to make some changes or amends, and that backfired in the sense that the owners were not willing to agree, and they were saying that these are the just reasons that he's giving. But actually, in fact, even before Mourinho came, these decisions, the refereeing errors that were happening, they were happening even before that. Just that no one
Yeah,
was voicing those things loud enough. And it continues even in the current season when Mourinho is not there. So is there, and like how United did it when they sacked Mourinho and they got in a club legend Ole Gunnar Solskjaer too. So Mourinho divided the fans. There were fans that were for Mourinho and there were fans that were against the style of play that he plays. Bringing in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at United was to sort of reduce the negativity around the sack, and I think that's what our management did when they brought in De Rossi. And De Rossi did so well, but even he couldn't function well with the squad depth that he had. And that's why we reached the Europa League final. We reached the Europa League semi final when De Rossi was there, but we couldn't go any further.
Hmm.
So that has been our Achilles heel, if you must say, that there's no
Yep.
squad depth in the team.
True, true, true. And after getting the squad depth, the owners decide to sack De Rossi, and
De
the
Rossi.
whole story, how this season has panned out. But let's get to the game, guys. Sorry, I'll just quickly pull out the screen. And I'll be taking all the questions. So, guys, just keep on posting your questions. We'll just take it at the end because I like the flow of discussion that we're on. And this is basically from SofaScore. I don't know how accurate this is, but if Aishwarya and Pranay, if you guys can help us with how the Spurs 11 would line up and what would be the potential predicted lineup, that eventually Postecoglou will put out against Roma. How do you see this versus what could come in reality?
So I think it's pretty accurate. Definitely, like Foster, we said has to play because there's no
Yeah.
other choice. I mean, you could play one of the kids, but I think Foster will play. And we have no choice in centre backs either. So Davis and Dragusin will have to play. It is up for discussion whether Gray will play in place of Poro or in place of Udogi. But I think that SofaScore have it right that he would play in place of Poro because I think Udogi's physicality will help. And plus, I think Poro played the Galatasaray game, so I think they're switching turn by turn. Um, Bentoncourt is banned in the Premier League, so he has to play here,
Hmm.
and he'll be rested. Bergwall will play because the others played in the City game. It's up for debate whether they'll pick Madison or Kulu to play that position. And I think that depends on Ange. I think Madison will play because we need a captain, and all our three, like Sunny, I don't think will play, and Romero's injured, so I think Madison will captain, and that's why I think Madison will play over Kulu. And yeah, Timo and Johnson were both on the bench, so they will in the City game, so they'll definitely play. Solanke will have to play because Lancashire has been banned in the previous game against Galatasaray. So we have no other option but to play Dominic Solanke. So yeah, it looks pretty accurate.
Fair, fair, fair.
I
Any other
disagree.
thoughts, Pranay?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll go pretty strong. I don't think he'll go with Werner. I think he'll go with Son, and he'll play Bentancur, Madison, and Kulusevski in the midfield. I think Kulusevski will pretty much play every game because the man never gets tired. He just keeps on running. He's never tired. So Kulusevski definitely starts. I think he'll play Madison. He'll play Son. And other than that, yeah, maybe Archie Gray will come in for either Poro or Udogi. Rest the team. Yeah, Brent Johnson definitely starts on right because we don't have any other right winger. Um, but Son definitely starts this one for me.
Okay, okay. Sid, if you can throw in your 2 cents about the Roma lineup, how do you see Roma lining up in this way, or do you think there'll be changes?
I don't think Dobbik sits out this game. I think Dobbik will start.
Of course, of course.
And my worry is that from what I've been reading, Pellegrini might get benched for this game. And I don't know. I don't see Dobbik not starting in this game. Like he needs to start with Dybala. Like if we are
True,
playing with Dybala as our only forward source, then it's going to be a very defensive game. We won't have any attack.
true, true. I also feel that Hummels will play because he is scheduled for a press conference along with Ranieri. Typically, the guy coming out for a press conference typically starts, and he did bring him on, at halftime against Napoli. And I feel that Mati Sule and Zalewski will play because both of them have pace. And given that it's an away game, away in England, I'm sure that Ranieri is going to sit back and play a very very low block in this game because there's no way that we're going to take the game to Spurs. I don't see that happening. Sid, what about you?
I don't see it either. The only thing is if SofaScore is saying that Timo Werner is starting, so Zeki Celik doesn't have pace to deal with. So that is one relief that I'm seeing.
But
Otherwise, I don't see
to
so
be
many
fair,
changes in a Spurs team.
To be fair, if you're sitting in a low block, you basically cut out the speed for both of our wingers. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
No, but you
Zeki
haven't
Chelik,
seen Zeki Chelik
yeah,
play.
Zeki Chelik is the Emerson Royale of our team. So you don't need pace to beat him, or even a high functioning brain. Zeki Chelik will himself give all the chances on a platter. But quickly, before we close the predicted lineup, um, starting with you, Aishwarya, how do you see this game panning out and your score prediction? And after that, we'll get to the comments.
So I think that it'll be a really difficult game for Spurs because y'all will sit deep, and uh, we tend to find it difficult to break a low block, and especially a low block, because a Ranieri team is excellent out of possession. Y'all play like a four, like at least the Leicester Ranieri used to play 4-4-1-1, like it used
Mhm.
similar to this SofaScore lineup. And it was about their off the ball play, because even though they were sitting in a low block, it was always a low block that was excellent winning the second ball, like really physical, good at set pieces. And if Dobbik plays, I could see, like his head hitting the ball and going into goal. Like that's something where weak against, which is why it might be actually a good thing that Foster's playing, because he's slightly better at organizing the box for set pieces. Um, so it's going to be a KG game, a KG low scoring game in my opinion. So I would go 2-1. One thing is that actually we're playing at home. Apart from the Ipswich game, we've had a decent record at home. So I do think that we're the favorites.
Sure, Pranay.
I think we'll have all the numbers, the possession, shots on target, corners, but I think that it sounds like a draw for me. I think it'll be a one-all draw. And with Foster in goal, there is potential, you know, slip there. So, so yeah, one-all draw for me.
Sid, what about you?
Looking at this lineup, I would say a 1-1 draw. But if you have Son, Kulusevski, and the players missing, I think a right back also is missing. Archie Gray is
Pedro
coming
Porro.
in for someone, right? Yeah, if
Poro.
Pedro Porro also plays, then it's going to be a Spurs win 2-1. 2-0 or 2-1. If this is the
Yeah, I mean,
lineup, then 1-1.
absolutely, man. I mean, to be honest, like we mentioned at the start of the stream, we have no hope, literally, for the first three games of the Ranieri era, which was the game against Napoli, the midweek game against Spurs, and then Monday night against Atalanta. So,
Atlanta.
for me, if we can get a point away from London, it would be equivalent to a win this year. But that's what my head says. But if I'm realistic, even if Kulusevski comes on early in the second half, he's going to cause a lot of problems because our wing backs aren't really the best. Um, so head says maybe a Spurs win. Heart says possibly a draw. I'm just hoping, Sid, that we don't see a humiliation that we've seen in many many European nights in England. England has not been
Yeah.
very kind to us, Aishwarya and Pranay,
Bro, we
and
have we have one linked with Udogi also. The 4-0
right.
Udinese loss.
Right. Yeah. Udinese somehow beating a Jose Mourinho team, by the way. Not so less. Mourinho's Roma were beaten 4-0 and Udogi was killing it. And of course, there are a lot of Serie A players here. You have Dragoshin, of course, you have Bendancourt, Kulusevski. Vicario was there until his unfortunate injury. So a lot of Serie A connection. You're on mute, Aishwarya.
Spurs were also interested in buying Ndika, so that's also a potential connection.
I have a better offer for you. You can take either one of Shelik or Cristante. Take it and go.
Oh, we were
Back
linked with
to back.
Celik. Under Mourinho, he was a preferred right back option, and we didn't go for him. We went for Matt Doherty instead.
Interesting. We were talking offline, Ashwarya, about which something has to give in this matchup. Either the Doctor Tottenham, sort of like that play, or the Roma curse. So if you guys don't know, Roma are a very cursed football club, And if you want 3 points, if you want a change in fortune, if you want your striker to start scoring, Roma is a team for you. You play against Roma, you can get all your personal records. If you're, in out of, yeah, if you're in, team in, terrible form, you can get your form back. So one thing is going to budge on Thursday night, either the Dr. Tottenham play or the Roma curse. We'll see about that. But let's take the comments before we, end the stream. I had one comment that was start. This was from Zenotron. Your opinion on Timo Werner?
I'll
Ali,
take this.
go for it.
I think Timo Werner, for someone who is absolutely shit at finishing, causes a lot of chaos. Like, I just love the way he plays football. Like, he's very bad at finishing, but even then he makes a difference on the pitch. He makes all the runs that are necessary. He gets the ball into position. Even the way he receives the balls, like sometimes he does so things that are just, you just go like wow. But then again, he goes, it's one on one with the keeper, and then he somehow messes it up. But yeah, overall, I like Timo Werner. I think he fits the Ant system well. And as a second choice left wing, he is good for Tottenham.
Yeah, so his lack of goals, Roma is the right opposition for him to rediscover his goal scoring prowess. क्या बोलते हैं सेठ?
Yeah, अपना biggest curse is all ex-Roma players scoring against us.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, even Serie A players do well when they go to other European clubs and come back to play against Roma. But we'll take a few comments before, we wrap up the stream. If any questions are there, do send them in. We'll take all questions. But otherwise, of course, Shivam, good evening. Lily White's India, obviously a Spurs fan. Um, Arijit is like Ipswich Town se pale kar City, pale diya like Brighton. Of course, Renu, who's a Milanista, wants y'all to take Emerson back. You're on mute, Aishwarya. You're on mute.
I think you got the gist of that.
Yeah. Okay. Mihir is backing Spurs. Mihir also is a Milan fan. Adaxam
Also,
in the
One
house.
Piece fan,
Sorry.
apparently. He's also a One Piece fan from his profile
Ah,
picture.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is basically the he Mourinho, the ball boy got the ball in play and Spurs scored, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Sid, you want to take this question from Lily Whites? I mean, this is more of a statement. I don't think so. We are playing out of the bag these days under Ranieri.
But playing out of the back means you need your wingbacks to play. And our wingbacks aren't playing.
Yeah,
It's more or less, it's just a mix up in the back. So it's not playing out from the back. It's just Endika and Mancini have had a lot of space. And the teams are giving them space because they know there's no threat coming from them.
yeah,
As soon as the ball is passed to the midfield, that's when the pressure comes.
yeah. And that's where our weakest link is, right? Because the Cristante effect, and he
Yeah.
loses the ball even when he's under no pressure. So I think obviously Postecoglou would have looked at that to win back and start transition into attacks quickly. But yeah, Alif is spot on because we are not playing out of the back anymore. Mihir does echo the Mourinho is not finished at all sentiment. Wikes goes for a 2-0 Roma win. तेरे मुंह में घी शक्कर. I don't think so this is going to happen. But yeah, against Napoli, we did see a bit of improvement, but still a very, very long way to go. Mir is backing on Brennan Johnson scoring. Okay. Any questions? Do I see any questions? Yeah, I see some questions over here. This is again for the Spurs fans. Out of topic, but do you feel that Spurs need some recruitments in the winter window?
Yeah, January 1st, goalkeeper.
Ye- Yes,
uh,
Kaylan Navas
no.
is available. Yeah, we'll take Navas.
Where how
But
long is
then
You
Vicario out for?
also,
Postecoglou said, I think, that he's not gonna make any transfers for goalkeeper. I think I read it today only somewhere.
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, with Spurs, you shouldn't trust everything you read because the English media, they just tend to make stuff up as well. So, it remains to be seen. I think we will definitely get at least one player in Jan. That I think is a definite possibility. Who that player will be, I don't know.
I think before the Vicario incident, it would have been a left center back hybrid sort of someone like an Evan Andika. So, but now I think the priority is the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I don't think so. Ivan Antica will leave in January per se. Maybe in the summer, but not in January. But Itachi Ochicha is like with no. So is Pedro Porro suspended or injured for this game, or is he not
No,
starting?
he'll just be rested, I think.
Okay.
Hmm.
Ange does it turn by turn. So Pedro Porro played in the Europa. So Pedro Porro played Galatasaray. So probably Udogi will play this game. So that's how he does
Okay.
it.
Okay. Yeah, but I don't see any pace. In a counter attack. That's the problem. Apart from Mati Sule, I don't think so. Anyone has got pace. Neither Dobbik, neither Dybala. Obviously, maybe Zalewski has got pace, but he doesn't have an end product. So yeah, difficult to see. Can Roma turn Foster into Groot? Interesting,
Let's
interesting. I
see.
just saw that Foster performance against Barcelona, so you never know.
I
That
mean,
was
it's
like
been a
years
while.
ago, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was, but I'm telling you, I mean, you just see Empoli Roma and see you must have seen Vicario's performance for Empoli against Roma. So
Yeah.
typically, you do have keepers turning out good performances against Roma.
Yeah. To be fair, Vicario might not have played this game anyway. Like for our season is terrible, but anyway, he
Right,
might not have played this game.
right. We have
Hmm.
Yogesh, the resident Napoli fan, going for a 3-2 Roma win. I don't know whether he's trolling or not. Roma need a striker like Richarlison. Sid, your thoughts?
I think we have a very good striker in Dobbik. I just don't think that the gameplay is suiting his play. Like he's still got like 5 goals already in the season, and he
Hmm.
scored some great goals. So striker is not an issue. I think the issue is the overall connect in the team and the crosses coming in. The crosses haven't been good at all this season.
Hmm. Renu goes for a 4-2 Spurs win. A question for Pranay and Aishwarya. My friend has made a bet if Spurs don't finish top four, he will keep a profile pic of him in an Arsenal jersey for a year. Would you be confident
No,
to make that bet too?
no, definitely not confident. Honestly, with Spurs, I don't make bets like this. It's harmful to my health, mental health, you know. So I would not make that bet.
Fair, fair.
Yeah, me
I, I,
neither.
I don't think so. Sid and I even would consider bringing anything light blue. Like I've told my wife also that light blue is banned in the house because that's the color of Lazio. So no light blue dresses, no light blue wallpaper, whatever, nothing. Light blue is
Yeah.
typically bad. I mean, that's how much we hate our rivals, right? So,
Yeah,
um,
I don't own
guys,
any red. Like there's no red in my house. Everything. So it's all banned.
guys, last few questions before we end this. Vikes is going for a 7-0 win, but he hasn't mentioned home side. But we've been at the end of some 7-1 losses, so um, yeah, I'm assuming he's going for a 7-0 Spurs win.
But to be fair, this season, apart from the Fiorentina game, I think you haven't lost by a big margin anywhere, right?
Yeah, so that Fiorentina game was like probably the symbol. It was very symbolic of our season, how horrible it's been. But we haven't won any games either. So unfortunately, we are in that situation where Alif is like, what should we do? Should we aim for Serie A or should we aim for Coppa Italia, Europa League? I think we should aim for one victory. I mean, that's the least that these players and the club can do because the fans are there week in week out. I just read that the next game, which is a home game against Atalanta, is sold out. So 65,000 odd fans would be in attendance. So the fans are there, but the on pitch results, the off pitch chaos has not really kind of helped helped Roma's case. So anything from London for me is a positive. So yeah, I mean, before we end the stream, I'll take your final thoughts and a final few comments. Spurs to win it. Param is like, Ajay Bhai does not even light blue I don't actually. There's nothing light blue in this house. But your closing thoughts, guys. I'll start with you, Aishwarya, and we'll end with Sid. As a fan, as a Spurs fan, how are you looking forward to this game? And your closing thoughts on what could potentially be a great European game between Spurs and Roma.
And it would be like I don't think Spurs will keep a clean sheet, and so I think it will be a very interesting game, especially if you score first. So I look forward to seeing that. But I also think it's really essential for Spurs to win this because if we're not in the top eight, we can't afford with the injuries piling up. We can't afford to play that extra game. So I really, really, and Rangers after this difficult game, I just want to win this at home.
Fair, Pranay.
Yes, considering how important this game is, yeah, I think a strong lineup. Again, good start. I expect us to keep the most of the ball. I expect us to create lots of chances. But there is a feeling in me that just tells me, ki, we might not be able to finish all the chances that we create, and it would be a typical Spurs game where we eventually get a one-all draw.
Sid, Dr. Tottenham or the Roma curse, and also answer this question.
Do you think De Rossi comeback will benefit? I wanted De Rossi to come back instead of Ranieri. Like I was like, I wanted the owners to admit their mistake. I think in the last stream also mentioned this
Yeah,
that
we
I
spoke
want the
about
owners
this.
to
Yeah.
admit their mistake and reinstate De Rossi and see what he can do for the rest of the season. Uh, for the Tottenham game, I hope we see Son in the game. I hope we see Kulusevski as well because I don't want the match to end like they played the B team and we still lost, or they played the B team and even we won and it will still be the B team. So I want all their best players to be there so that it becomes a big match, a good match, and an intense game. A 1-1 draw
That
is
that
the best we can expect.
yeah, that pretty much happened with Arsenal, by the way. Inter played the B team and beat them 1-0
Yeah.
in the Champions League, before the international break.
So let's hope some players show up.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, that's the least that we would want as Roma fans. But thank you so much, guys, Aishwarya and Pranay and Sid, of course, for coming in. And I hope we have a good game between the two teams because the Anglo-Italian clashes are always good. And of course, Ranieri is back in England and would love to see him take up an Ange Postecoglou side. It would have been spicier had Mourinho or Conte been on either ends, but nevertheless, we finally get a Mourinho derby. I'm sure he would be watching this game for sure with a lot of intent.
Yeah.
Wherever he is, and I'm sure that he'll have his 2 cents on this game maybe after the game finishes. But thank you so much for coming in, and thanks to everyone who tuned in, and of course, जो सारे सवाल पूछे. I hope we could give a decent reply to all of you. Just one final thing, just like the stream, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Also, subscribe to Calcio Churcha, which is our Italian football podcast, for the Indian football community. And hopefully, we'll have more collaborations with Spurs India in the near future. But until next time, it's ciao, ciao.